Sahinavavatu Sahinau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vichar Chandrodaya and Kala first, and the question is 17 question. When is Dridha-Aparoksha Brahmgyana considered to be complete? Answer: when despite gaining knowledge of the attributes of Brahman, the Sanshaya Viparita Bhavana both persist, Dridha-Aparoksha Brahmgyana is then considered to be complete. So how is the wavering or the unresolved Brahmagyana be considered as adriḍha? What are the signs and symptoms of its being incomplete? But actually they are using word complete, because we are talking about adriḍha, not driḍha. So we have to say what is the completion sign symptom of Dridha-Aparoksha Brahmagyana. Now very quickly let me give this some meaning to this word aparoksha. See, there is first category of any direct interaction when we have this with this world, then that happens in 4 categories. First is Pratyaksha. Whatever is seen by your senses, mind and intellect directly is called Pratyaksha. That which is perceivable through your senses and mind is called Pratyaksha. Then the other is Paroksha. Paroksha is that which cannot be seen through your senses, mind, intellect, is called Paroksha. Par means far. Par means other. So that which is way beyond the boundaries of your senses and mind is called Paroksha. Aksha means eyes. So Aksha means to see. So that which cannot be seen with your eyes will be called Paroksha. For example, heaven or hell, as said by the religions, nobody has seen that. There is no way to see it. You can be a scientist or physicist or whatsoever, or astronomer or astronaut, yet there is no way to see that which is beyond. Third is Aparoksha. Aparoksha means that which is perceived directly, and where senses and mind is also not required. Let's say what goes on in your mind is perceived by you directly. You, the one, the self, which is not mind, intellect, senses and body. What goes on in somebody's mind is not perceivable, true, but what is going on in your own mind is known by you. Hence that is called Aparoksha, opposite to Paroksha. And then there is a 4th category which we call Saakshaat Aparoksha. Saakshaat means a real-time present, a real-time encounter, a direct encounter, a direct realization. That's called Saakshaat Aparoksha. So now these definitions you'll just have to understand and keep it in your memory, because these words will be coming up again and again. Pratyaksha, Paroksha, Aparoksha, Saakshaat Aparoksha. So over here they are talking about Dridha-Aparoksha. So even after gaining the knowledge of Brahman, there are doubts. And there are contradictory convictions. These 2 things make, like maybe God is, maybe, now I am saying in a common man's language, Maybe God exists, maybe God doesn't exist. So the atheist and theist have this eternal, debate and fight amongst one another. So communist says there is no God, and any religious believer, whatever religion it might be, would say no, God exists. So there might be a doubt, and even when the so-called religious people say that God exists, remember their disbelief gets punctured that very day when some unfortunate things happens to them, a death, a disease, natural calamity. There is no God. There is no God. They are ready to say that. I was a fool, I believed that there was a God. And so when, even after knowing from the Master, from the Sadguru, about the existence of Brahman, when your mind is still raising the doubts and suspicions about it, that is called the Dridha-Aparoksha Brahmagyāna. Question 18. What is Dridha-Aparoksha Brahmagyāna? Conviction in the oneness of Atman and Brahman, in the absence of asambhavana and viparita bhavana, is said to be Dridha-Aparoksha Brahmagyāna. When we say word sanshaya, that means doubt. When we say asambhav, means impossible. When we say viparit, then it means opposite to what the truth is. Now this very pure self, this Atman is Brahm, this is a factual fundamental truth. But when there is no conviction about it, and there is a big portion of impossibility, or how it can be, and then there is a counter feelings to this, and that is that I am not even Atman, I am just a body. So when I am a body, so I see, well, that's my birth date, and one day I'll die. So how can I be Brahm? And I don't know anything about before death or previous to my birth where I was. I'm such a fool. How can I be Brahm? So when all these emotions are overlapping one another, that's called the viparit, opposite, bhavana, emotions. So this is what the adriḍha is, where you have all the doubts, but when you don't have any doubts, it turns it into driḍha. From adriḍha to driḍha, there is a one big jump. And the jump is that you leave behind all the doubts. And you leave behind all the doubts and all the opposite or the unrealistic emotions and understandings behind. So this makes the adriḍha into driḍha, that is, and fully resolved conviction. Question: how does one attain a Dridha-Aparoksha Brahmagyāna? Chain reaction is happening. One answer is leading to another question. And you have to remember, the questions are being asked by the authors and the answers are being given by that very same author. There aren't two people over here. So Pandit Pitambar ji is the writer who is playing this character of asking a question like a seeker, and then is also giving the answers like a guru. So the question comes: how does one attain the Dridha-Aparoksha Gyan? They say that it can be attained through Shravaṇa Listening, Manana Contemplation, Nidhidhyāsana Rupa Vichara, uninterrupted deep contemplation on the meaning of Mahāvākyas as exposited by the self-realized masters. Now, many new words have now come up. One is Shravaṇa, listening, what you are doing now. Although it's not a complete definition, we'll very soon come to a point where we will be getting the true definition of what Shravan is, listening is. Then you will understand that your listening might not even have actually happened. But we'll go there when the time comes. Manana, contemplating. When you again and again and again bring back this very one thought, how I am Brahman, how one I am Atman, then how this Atman is Brahman, when you keep on reflecting on it. And now this reflection cannot happen by a mind which is jumpy like a monkey. Right? And this cannot be done by the word you heard yesterday is a palmer who is too obsessed with the sensual pleasures. This is not possible by a mind which has too many prejudices and hatreds and longing. Oh, I am longing to have, I'm just leaving a fill in the blank. It can be anything or anyone. When you are longing for something or someone, then your mind is already occupied. So, occupied room cannot be rented. So, an occupied mind cannot do manana. And then comes the Nidhidhyāsana Rupa. What is Nidhidhyāsana Rupa? If we do the word by word, we cut this into a few pieces, and that is called Vinyasa. And then Nidhi means the wealth, Dhyana means meditation, and Rupa means form. When your mind takes the form of a dhyana, and that is your ultimate wealth. Now, what does it mean? All the reflections which you had been doing while doing the manana brings you to that consolidating point. That is called Nidhidhyāsana. You have to just focus on the word consolidation. I'm not saying concentration. I'm saying the mind gets consolidated upon which you were reflecting, upon which you had heard from the Guru, from the Vedas, or from the Vedic scriptures. Right? The Mahāvākyas mean what? The Mahāvākyas, we have 4 Vedas. And every Veda has its one, Maha means great, Vakya means sentence. There are, say, a couple of 100,000 slokas, verses in Veda. But not every verse is not talking about the oneness of Atman and Brahman. They are talking about so much stuff. But those typical verses which like a point blank range are shooting this one verse, which is giving us the ability, that one final shot which says Atman is Brahm. So these 4 Mahāvākyas, Tattvamasi, Ayam Atma Brahm, Aham Brahmasmi, and Prajnanam Brahma. These are the four Vedas, 4 Mahāvākyas. And when Shankaracharya made 4 mathas in this country, Bharat, north, south, east, west, so every center, every math was given one Mahāvākya, that your all studies will happen around this one Mahāvākya. So the successors, or should I say the people, the individuals who were appointed in these mathas, were given this task that now you live here and teach people about Vedas, but the target is that the information of this Mahāvākya should be transmitted to the people of this area. So the mutt is supposedly to be a seat of learning. But as it happens, all the seats now, some of the seats today are still doing that scriptural work, teaching, making new sannyasis, initiating new sannyasis who dedicate their life becoming a renunciate like a Shankaracharya and totally dedicating their life for, like an householder dedicates his or her life for building up that one home and nurturing children and settling them up and earning money, and then with that money can do so much of good work also and so much of charity, dhanam, what we say, so much dhanam can happen. So a householder has a very peculiar duty, and we never ever say that a householder cannot experience the self-realization. It is open for everybody. There is not a condition that somebody has to become a sannyasi first to have self-realization. There are some people who say that, but our shastras, scriptures don't agree to that. But why does anybody become a sannyasi now? That's something that the mind is so absorbed into it, and after realization feels that this is something which should go out to everybody. Now, if you settle in a small house or an apartment and happy with your spouse and having children need education and money and food, 24/7 you are just busy in that and you hardly get time for your own little sadhana. You cannot do anything for the society. So I believe a sannyasi is somebody who is giving up onto the filthy sensual pleasures, for one, gaining that divine joy, and then two, getting established in that truth, and three is then becoming a role model and an ambassador and an acharya himself or herself to decimate this message to the masses. So a sannyasi is not an escapist. Yes, there are many who find this as an escape route, that they don't have to earn, just sit in any ashram and the food and clothing will be taken care of and you don't have to lift a finger. And with the age you might be getting the seat of the Guruji, or some people become your chela, and then you can have your own ashram. So simple, you make one temple, and then the people will come and the money will come and the following will come, and yes, then you can have a property and whatnot. But basically the ashram or the mutt is not meant to be like a resting place for or idle people or good for nothing people. Ashram or a mutt is a place where very vibrant learnings are happening and deep practices are happening, and where the individuals are getting prepared to become that role model for the society, because in this Kali Yuga the darkness is growing with leaps and bounds. How many people are advocating that? Millions. And how many people are lapping up that information to become a palmer, actually, end of the day? Again, millions. Then who is guiding not to go into this mess? Who is guiding you to come out of this rat race? Who is teaching you to not be a consumer alone? And a consumer and a boaster. That's what people are. First they will consume some top class wine, whiskey, food, ice cream, this or that, and then they'll boast it to others who haven't. So they consume and then they boast. And then they make money to do these two things, consuming, boasting, and then they need money to do that. So it's fine maybe for those who are just living in the darkness, but then maybe they were not fortunate enough to meet somebody who could guide them to come out of that darkness. But also remember this, the darkness is very soothing, very comforting. Hence people don't wish to come out of that darkness. And that's why society is always condemning the sannyasis. Condemning, insulting, ridiculing. They are good for nothing. What do they do? What is their productivity? What do you produce? So a guru is producing minds which are illuminated and who become the torchbearers of this Vedantic knowledge and yogic knowledge for the masses. Question 20. What is the benefit of Dridha-Aparoksha Brahmagyāna? When abhana padak avaran, abhan means abhan and bhan, two words. Bhan means when you can feel something, and abhan means when you can't feel something, and avarana means a veil. So when abhana padak avarana, the veil of ignorance which was concealing the knowledge of Brahm, and vikshepa rupa karya, all the actions occurring because of identification with the false self, that is, the doer of actions, the bearer of fruits, prone to birth and death, etc., and avidya, that's ignorance, are completely removed. It leads to the realization of Brahm, which is moksha. Now, the Dridha-Aparoksha Brahmagyāna will happen only then when this final veil of ignorance is just removed. The best word in Sanskrit what we have for this is avidya. Vidya means to know. Vidya means knowledge. So when you receive the knowledge, because of which you will lift up the veil of ignorance, which was concealing, hiding this knowledge about your own true self, and also the activities which you do, virtuous activities or sinful activities, are all done for the sake of getting joy. We have already established this point. Now, why a person is doing, a doer, why he becomes a doer, a karta? Because he wants to indulge into it. If there is no wish to indulge, why would you do anything? You wanted to indulge into drinking a cup of coffee. That will make you to move out of your house into the car, to the cafe, going there, ordering, paying, waiting, getting, and then, it's not good. And then complaining. And then saying, give me a better, it's not a good coffee. And then the hassle, and then you get angry. These people don't know how to make a coffee? What kind of barista are you? All that agony was because that you wanted to indulge in coffee. Now coffee or ice cream or food or sex or whatever you can now, I guess, fill in the blank. The whole world comes into there. Because you wanted to indulge, that is why you do the actions. Hence, if you don't want to indulge in sensual pleasures, why would you then become a doer? So this is very interconnected. You are a doer because you are wanting to indulge into that which is not a good thing. See, when we say it is good or bad, then the very simple method of knowing what is good or bad is, when you attain peace of mind and equanimity, then that is good. And when you can't have this, then whatever you do is actually a sin. That's very hard definition, but that's what I'll give. So, making all the money and making all the things around you and then being victim of all those hoardings. When you have stuff, then you have to take care of them, insure them, guard them, protect them, worry about them. And when you don't have any stuff, you don't do all this. Somehow our society teaches us to be a hoarder. It teaches us to hoard things and hold on to things and then keep on piling up things on one on the another and one on the another until you just drown into that. So all the agitation in your life is because you want to indulge into something. Now, there are some things which are agreed that they are good, then there are some things which are not good. Society says it's not good, but you want to indulge into it. Say prostitution, pornography, liquor, contraband powders, drugs, extramarital affairs, and pedophiles. This is a huge industry. Lately, somebody was cornered by the internet services police people who was a pedophile, and he had a history of being that for last almost 40 years. And they were trying to, join the dots, and then they made him confess. And it turned out to be that there were hundreds of those children who were his victim. Now, why did he do this bad stuff? It is bad, the society says so. But for him, he was just getting his joy. So when we say legal and illegal, then there are two types of, indulgences. But because you want to indulge into something, hence you will obviously do some actions. Now those actions will be either good or would be bad. When you do bad, the consequences will be there. When you do good, yes, consequences will be there. But both are binding. Both are a bondage. So the agitation of our actions and the agitations of our mind, when gets removed. Why? Because the veil of ajnana has been lifted. Ajnana or avidya, they have some fine differences which we will go into later on. But when this avidya, the ignorance, is completely removed, then do we have to bring Brahm from somewhere? No, that which exists everywhere doesn't need to be brought. Do I have to go somewhere? No. Do I have to wait when the Brahm will come? But here we are not talking about either avatara or any Mahatma or any yogi. We are talking about Brahm. So how do I realize Brahm? By the Brahmagyāna, Brahmavidya. And when will I realize that? Is it just now? There is no waiting time. Can you become father of a child just now? Can you become a husband of somebody just now? Can you become a billionaire just now? No. Can you make a 40-story building just now? No. Can you remove corona just now? No. But you can get Brahmagyāna just now. This can happen just now. And rest, what a frustrating, time-consuming, energy-boggling weight and efforts are required to experience all that, which will end up in making you more bonded with the stuff. So, if you need liberation, moksha, then you need Brahmagyāna. And we need which Brahmagyāna? We need Driḍha Brahmagyāna. Question 21. When is Driḍha Brahmagyāna considered to be complete? I am the body when this fallacious conviction is finally discarded And instead, a resolute conviction is established in the oneness of Atman and Brahm. That is when Dridha-Aparoksha Brahmgyana is considered to be complete. When not even an iota of doubt is left. When not even the finest of the veil is remainder in your mind. And I am body, this is the most erroneous statement. And when this is removed totally in totality. Now, okay, I'll just give one example that, say, when you dream, then you see the whole world. But when you wake up, then that whole world is gone. How much time does it take for that dream world to vanish? Not even a second. In a flashing light, that just goes away. That which seemed a reality, that which you were being scared of or were fearful or you were drowning, and lion was after you and a ghost was after you and snakes were there and the scorpion was biting you and the lion was ready to eat you, and then the sleep just goes off and you are off. Where did that go? It was just my imagination, nothing more than that. Now bring that very realization into this present moment. What you see as real, including your body, is not real. What you see which seems real is actually not real. So you see, I am a sinner, I did so many bad things, I have committed so many worse things, I have been adultery and liar and I've been a thief and I had been doing this and that and I'm so tied and bonded and Guru sings the song of waking up and you find you are neither this body nor this mind. And you are not a doer. You are actually a seer who has seen this whole drama. And you wake up. And the moment you wake up, the liberation is right there. Without any delay and without ado. It's right there. Question: what is Vichara? Vichara is thought. To know Atman and Anatman to be separate, distinct entities is called Vichara. Now when we say Atman, that means true self. And in this world there are only two things. One is Atman and one is Anatman. Anatman means that which is not myself. Let's say, this remote is not yourself. Say yes or no. You just say yes or no. I'll just keep on pointing or showing you things. This is no. This, that. All the billions of objects in this world is not yourself. Sky, water, fire, earth, air. So this is all Anatman. So what is Vichara? When you sit and think how to make more money, that is not Vichara. There is a word in Sanskrit which we call ku-vichara, meaning bad vichara. How to make money, how to make house, how to do this. Anything pertaining to this Anatman is not a vichara. What is vichara? Understanding how the self is separate from this non-self, the Anatman, is called vichara. So I can say, until you listen to this stuff, you have never done vichara. You have not done Vichara. What you have done is called Ku-Vichara, the bad thinking. Question. What leads to such Vichara? This Vichara happens through one, grace of Ishvara. When Ishwar, see, we are not using word God. We are using the word Ishvara. Ishvara means Brahman plus Maya, the illusion. When Maya is working, now Maya is inert, so it cannot work on its own. It needs someone to support it. So the substratum of your this whole world, this whole universe, the Brahman, who is the substratum and absolute existence? That is Brahman. So this Brahman plus Maya becomes Ishvara. Now this is the job of Ishvara, from which the continuity of creation, what we are seeing now, is happening. Or you can say the management, or you can say the running the show, or you can say the dissolution of the show would happen. So that is called Ishvara. Now let me remind you, when say God, they are pointing maybe towards Ishvara only, not to Brahman. Not to Brahman. Why? Well, that is the beauty of the seers of this country. That they could delve so deep and found this distinctive quality, what makes Brahman and what makes Ishvara. So very, 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 very deep and fine difference, which and philosophical people and religious people can't make the difference. Further, these details will come. We will then talk about that later. So, how does this Vichara happens? One, grace of Ishvara. Grace in Hindi we call Kripa. How and when would be this possibility that a person gains this association with this kind of Vichara? So they are giving what graces are required to have this. One, Ishvara's grace, then the grace of Vedas. It's not easy to understand Vedas. So the ability to grasp the scriptural aphorisms requires, some blessings. And that is why in Bharat, in our country, we do pranam to our scriptures. We bow to our scriptures. We place our head in front of our scriptures because we are hoping that we receive this grace from that holy text, that we have the ability to understand the deep meanings which are hidden in it. Sometimes the words which seem very understandable have some another dimension to it. And especially with the Sanskrit language, you really, really have to know the meaning in depth of it. Otherwise, the yes can be no, and the no can be yes. Na and no, two words in Sanskrit. Right? Swasti na Indro. Now over here it means that let Indra grace me, bless me. But if we say Swasti no Indra, then it would be Indra should not grace me. Big difference. So that's called grace of Vedas. Then comes grace of the Guru and grace of your Antahkarana.